Hello, everyone. Welcome to Knights of the Round Table. I'm Luca, and this is TJ.
Hello there.
And for tonight's movie, we are reviewing When the Wind Blows.
Yes.
So, When the Wind Blows is an animation/horror movie about an elderly couple named Jim and Hilda who live on the countryside of England, who suddenly learn about this nuclear attack going on. And after the attack happens, the couple reacts unprepared and expose themselves to the radiation.
Yeah. I mean, it's not that they're unprepared. It's more their instructions. Oh, they suck. They have 3 days to do. So they have 3 days to prepare.
Well, yeah, but they don't know exactly how to handle it.
Yeah. I mean, it's not their fault. That's not really their fault. I mean, there's a huge. Okay, so let's first start off. This is not a kids' film, by the way. It looks like don't let the very pleasant visuals fool you. This is not appropriate for young children, for reasons we'll get into later. But let's first of all, how did you find the animation? Let's start with that.
I think it's great.
Yeah.
I like the wallpaper on the house. It looks fancy, and I like how they show the rubble of the house after the nuclear explosion.
Yeah, it's a funny thing to bring up the wallpaper, but I would agree. Pardon me.
Gives it an old-fashioned feel.
Yeah, I mean, a lot of it's old-fashioned, but there's a lot of. So the film is a hybrid of both 2D and stop motion. Like the interior of the house is stop motion, like you have real miniature. They have miniature little tea kettles and such, but the characters are two-dimensional, as well as most of the background and the outside of the house. And it looks great. It's very pleasant, which contrasts with some of the darker themes of the film very well. There's a number of times when the animation style changes, which feel very appropriate, and it is just a very pleasant looking movie. It is just a very pleasant movie to look at, even when it's horrifying to look at. We'll get into that later. Anything else? What else about the animation?
Nothing else really. I think it's I think the animation style really fits the movie.
Indeed, it is very. Yeah. So it's a very the film. So what do you think of the film setting? It's a very simple movie. This is.
I think the setting is okay. I like how it's animated.
Yeah, I quite like this. Anyway, so I quite like the setting. It's a very personal film. Like we only have two characters, James and Hilda, a retired couple live in the country, and it's a very personal film, which is interesting for a film about nuclear war. It is. So did you like the characters, the two characters?
Yes, the characters are quite enjoyable. I think the husband has a big story about his time in war, and he describes it wonderfully.
They both have big stories about the war. I mentioned how we do have a number of times when we change style, and most of that is to show that the memories and the mental and. Well, not so much mental state. The memories and the fantasies of the two characters.
Yeah, but not so much the woman. Like she just kind of gives her opinions on the war.
We do.
Like she doesn't fight.
Well, never did he. He was a child.
No, he did. Like he fought in the war.
No, he didn't. Like, he was a child. Like the times we do see him fantasizing about being in a war. He's just thinking of what he would have done if he was in that time period. Like the whole point is that when they were in a war, like the film compares the Second World War, I should say, when London was being bombed by Nazis, and the Cold War, and they're bringing, and a big part of the film is contrasting that with this new form of warfare. And when they were in the war, like whenever we go back to seeing their view of the First World War, it's very much simplistic and nice looking, like they're remembering being in their bunkers and how they found it to be very simple.
Well, when I saw the movie, I thought the old man was in a war when he was younger.
Yeah,
like the way they present it.
Remember, like we see him as a kid in the bunker.
Oh yeah.
It's still that. Yeah, still that's a very. Yeah, there's also this film gave me a very. Have you ever seen The Wall? Pink Floyd's The Wall?
No. What is it?
It's an interesting film to see in over time. It's a visualizations of it's a movie that's basically a long music video for the title for the album of the same title. It's a very interesting film. Could be a good thing for another review. But speaking of which, like Roger Waters worked on the soundtrack late. I learned that later, so that was cool. Roger Waters was in Pink Floyd. So, how do you find those? How do you find the pace of the film? Because this is a very slow. It's a very slow paced slice of lifey film. How do you find it?
I find the pacing to be decent. Like we get to hear them like talk about politics and their stories of them growing up, and we get to see them prepare for the oncoming bomb.
Yeah, I found it to be very nice.
It works.
Yeah, I found it to be quite effective myself. Like, it is like this film. As much as we're making this film as horrific as it gets at times, it isn't all drab. We do see this couple's nice life. We see them interacting and musing and just living life. Pardon me. And when all that stuff does happen, it does feel appropriately horrific.
Mm-hmm.
I found that to be very effective.
What are your thoughts on the real life scenes?
Real life scenes, like when they go to stock. They go to, I don't want to say stock footage, but live action. Like I thought that was used quite well. Like it is just to show back to a simpler, the modern day at first, but also a simpler time. I found that to be well used.
I think they totally tie in.
Say again?
I think they totally tie in.
Yeah.
Plus, get to hear the legendary David Bowie sing.
Say again? Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah, David Bowie's also worked on the song. Oh yeah, David Bowie worked on the album. Like he's the first. He sings the opening track. Yeah, there's an opening track to spoke. Track. What? So. And it is also very. It is. Did you find the film's commentary on how the British prepared for the bomb to be workable? Not workable. Did you find that to be effective?
A little.
What do you mean? What makes you say a little?
Like, doesn't really give much effect. Like, they still get exposed to the radiation.
I think that's the point, though. Like, the instructions they're given, they're terrible instructions. They're just meant to make
suck.
them comfortable.
Yeah. Honestly, I think Jim's method of building a bomb shelter is a tad old-fashioned, like old for that time. Like the radiation can still seep in through the openings in the doors, and their best hope of not being exposed to it is staying ducked down on the ground and covering their faces until it goes away.
No, that wouldn't help them either. Like, that's what I'm getting at with the that's the commentary. Like, the instructions they're given, which they're following, they're terrible instructions, and they're only meant to really comfort them. Because ultimately, if he made this shelter, if he didn't, if he ducked and covered, which was basically what they did, it was just a very elaborate version of duck and cover.
I mean, duck and cover could help them for like a period of time, but it won't last long.
I mean, that is duck and. I mean, technically, that was what they did. Oh yeah, I guess we're gonna get into spoilers. So the bomb drops, and that's what they did. They ducked and covered. They just used their makeshift shelter.
I know, but they could like last longer if they just stayed ducked and covered.
So you mean like if they stayed in their little hovel, in their little shelter?
Yeah, and just like cover their faces.
I don't think that would really help. Like I think they were dead as soon as the bomb really dropped.
It wouldn't help them long. Yeah.
Yeah. Speaking of which, how'd you find that scene, the bomb dropping scene?
I liked it.
Yeah.
Like they do it really well.
Yeah.
I like how Jim starts to panic and like just drags his wife over to the bomb shelter.
Yeah.
He carries her by the arm.
Yeah. It's so sudden too. Like they're just having one of their conversations, one of the many conversations they have throughout the film. And then the radio it's so sudden. Like there is no real preparation, no build up. Just, hey, we're bombed. And also just the scene itself it's such an intense scene. The changing color, the changing colors, the like the bleak visuals. It's the music by John Waters. It is, at least I think John Waters did that scene. He did, but it's horror. It's like seeing a train crash. We actually see a train crash in it, and I found it to be very effective, and also it marks the turning point in the film. So how'd you find the second half? I.e. the majority of the film, where we just see the couple die from radiation poisoning.
I find it to be gruesome.
Yeah.
Like I know they're about to like die, but it's horrifying to watch.
That is so. Yeah, it's horrifying because you know they're gonna die. It is very much heartbreaking. Like how much trust they really put into their governments and how little really happens. It is very. But yeah, I found the second half to be very effective. I especially I like how they use fading cuts to make you feel there is no real. We don't know how. I like the use of how they use fading cuts very well to make it feel sort of, you don't know how much time is passing. Yeah, the slow pace, which was once used to give it a very slice of life tone, turns miserable. It turns to miserableness. It is. Yeah, I found it to be very effective. You never get too gruesome. You never really get too many bleak details, do we?
What do you mean?
You don't. I mean, it is very played down. We don't see them grow giant tumors. We don't see them like get burned. We just. I mean, the most I mean, the most we see on screen, the most horrific thing we see happen to them directly, is that Hilda starts bleeding by the gums, and even then, it's not explicit, is what I'm saying.
What about the blotches on their skin and the old man ripping his hair out?
I mean, Helga does that. The old man doesn't rip his hair out, but that's not. Yeah, but even again, it's just it feels realistic. There is no. Yeah, it's just so down to earth, which goes with the rest of the film, and it's just awful to see just how.
Oh yeah,
Just
yeah. Hilda's the one who rips chunks of her hair out.
yeah,
The old man doesn't lose much hair. Like
yeah, Jim.
he didn't have much hair to begin with,
I think my cord's just gone.
but he starts to lose a couple strands of it.
Yeah, Jim. Yeah, it is so.
Hmm.
Yeah. I also like the camera. Yeah. How'd you find the camera work in the film?
Pretty good. It adds effect to the. It adds effect. Yeah.
I really like the film.
Yeah, I think
Like
I think it adds some dramatic effect to what's going on.
Yeah, like I like it's the cinematography is I found the cinematography to be very good. Like we do have we transition some like it feels like an organic transition from more personal point of view, like when we see many of their from their perspective as an effective point of view from the characters. It feels very effective. Like it transitions very well from being a more grounded, like from the perspective of the couple, to very God's eye point of view at times. Like when we survey the wreckage and look at them suffering. It feels very organic and helps portray the idea of powerlessness that is shown throughout the film, like the powerlessness of just seeing them suffer.
Yeah, I agree.
You don't really like sad endings too much, but you find this one to be earned / effective.
I guess because they they say prayers at the end.
Yeah, I found that it is very tragic, but I do find it to be it's very emotionally effective and does feel like an organic ending to the story. A horrific ending, but a very
But wonderful at the same time.
What?
But wonderful at the same time.
How's it wonderful?
Well,
I mean,
because of the music and when they say their prayers.
Yeah.
It just makes it a little bit wonderful.
Yeah, it's
at the same time.
I say heartwarming, but not really wonderful. But again, it's just so simple and kind of bleak. Like all we see is we just see them seemingly ascend into the sky, which is one of the beginning images of the film, and it's just very down to earth, very understated, but very horrific in that. I guess we get into the recommendations. Is that okay with you? Do you have anything else to say?
No, let's go to recommendations.
All right, Luca, would you recommend this film?
Yes, I would. What about you?
I would. Yeah, I would. It's a very depressing film. So if you're not a good, you need to be in a mood. You need to be in a certain mood for this. It's a great cinematic experience. It is very much. Yeah, it is not. It's probably not all the time. You need to be in a certain. I would say be in a certain mood, and preferably without kids. But yeah, I found this to be a. It's a very tragic, very visually interesting, and very effective film. I've been saying effective a lot, I know.
Yeah. If you're just interested in war and politics in general, I'd recommend it.
Yeah. So yeah. So do you want to rate this or no?
Sure. I give it a 9 out of 10.
probably same here. Probably between 9 and 8. Same as Song of the Sea. A very different film.
Yeah.
So Luca, do you have any idea what you want to review next week?
Yes, I want to do a Christmas movie next week.
All right.
I choose A Town Called Panic.
Town Called Panic. Okay. Okay. Anyways, thanks for your time, Luca.
Wrong.
And have a good day.
Thank you for joining me. Have a good day, TJ.
All right. Okay. That's not really ending. That's just like an organic and cut. I hope you have a good time. Anyways, I hope you have a good day, Luca. And I'll see you next week.
All right.
Just a quick question. Where can I see A Town Called Panic?
It's on Tubi.
Tubi, thank you. Okay, I'll see you next week.
All right. Have a good one.